The service that we're offering for family offices is pretty much along the lines with what we're offering for our other American clients. We're focusing on two areas, that is wealth protection on one side and global investment diversification on the other side. And that is very important for American family offices because typically, the average American family office is still invested, pretty much entirely, in the U.S., and that means also in the U.S. dollar. So adding the international investment diversification is really, really an important step for family office to reduce risks or, manage their risks better, and obviously also to access more investment opportunities. The other side, wealth protection, is something that we're doing for the family offices, which, is equally important. It's about the protection of, assets, and protecting assets for family means it's all about jurisdictional diversification. And that means having part of the assets, outside of the U.S. in order to protect the family office or the family against any sort of, issues and legal problems and legal attacks. And I think this is something that is often not really found in the U.S. I think the timing is great here. From what I was saying earlier, I think conceptually this probably makes sense to everyone, but the timing I think is great because we're looking at a global situation right now where U.S. markets compared with international markets, have such a huge, premium. So while U.S. markets are really, really expensive, international markets are actually quite cheap at this point. And if you combine that also with currency valuations at the moment, you're seeing that the US dollar is relatively high, whereas a lot of the international currencies are relatively low. And so that basically, those two factors combined make the case for international diversification, the opportunity for it, really in my opinion, a once in two decades opportunity. So this is looking really, really great. I mean, obviously, being Swiss, I'm probably naturally a little bit biased here when it comes to jurisdictional diversification and preference for different international financial centers. But what I do believe is when I look at the different options that American investors have, you can look at places like Hong Kong or some of the tiny Caribbean islands there, and yeah, sure, I mean they are offering something. There are banks out there, but really when you want to seriously look at wealth protection, I think you got to look very carefully at the jurisdiction where you're basically going to put some part of your assets. And there, in my opinion, when you look at Switzerland as a world financial center, very, very stable place, great legal system, very strong banks. This country has been around for 700 years, and I think we have survived many, many crises, in that time. And I have no doubt that we're going to be around for a little longer. So yeah, I think Switzerland is the #1 place for international investors for sure.